Hello everyone, Will the Outlaw here, and today we're going to be taking a look at Transformers Generation 1 Constructicons Devastator. Devastator was the very first combiner in G1 and was introduced in the cartoon continuity during the first season in 1984. Depending on which version of the continuity you wish to follow, the Constructicons were either built by Megatron or they built Megatron. Yeah, as much as I love the original G1 cartoon, that show was kind of a mess and doesn't really hold up nowadays. This particular version I have is the G1 reissue of the box set that was a Walmart exclusive. I never had the original growing up, so being able to pick this up from an actual Walmart shelf was a very special experience for me. This set includes Bonecrusher, Hook, Scavenger, Long Haul, Scrapper, Mixmaster, and all accessories and components needed to form Devastator. Man, I really miss the box art that used to be standard on Transformers packaging. Look how cool this looks. Jeez, we used to be a society. The figures as a set all look great together. They are very obviously G1 with their blocky proportions and minimal articulation. Even though they are somewhat quaint by modern standards, there's still a nostalgic charm that exudes from them. I don't know, despite my preference for modern engineering, these guys are still fun to me, and I think I still prefer these to any modern interpretation so far. Starting off with Bonecrusher, his alt mode is a simplified bulldozer. Not much to this mode, he doesn't even have wheels on his treads, so he can't roll. You can use one of the arm pieces to put an accessory, preferably this drill part, on top of the bulldozer. Transformation is, like all the other Constructicons, really simple but fun. The robot mode here is really good. It's probably the most articulated figure of the set with arm, elbow, and even some foot movement. The head sculpt is non-existent with minimal sculpt and only a flat silver slap of paint representing the face. Next up we have Hook. Hook is a truck crane. Unlike Bonecrusher, this mode has wheels and can roll around very nicely. His boom pole can move up, down, and around, and can even extend. The Devastator headpiece can fit here. His transformation is basic: flip out his legs, pop out his arms, and his head. Technically, only his arms are articulated, but his knees bend due to transformation, so I'm counting that too. And looky here, an actual face sculpt. Scavenger is a treaded power shovel. Like Bonecrusher, he doesn't have any wheels on his treads, but unlike Bonecrusher, he has an articulated bucket and can spin around like this. He can also have Devastator's other arm piece attached to him like this. His transformation is basic, with the treads becoming the legs and the arms and head flipping out. One cool thing about this guy's articulation is that he has foot movement, which is ironic because he forms Devastator's right arm. His face sculpt has a little more going on, but not much. Long Haul is the lower torso of Devastator, and his alt mode is a dump truck. Technically, the back of the truck can't really dump, but you can fake it. On second thought, maybe not. His Devastator piece fits snugly on top, even though its pretty abstract shape doesn't really fit the blocky aesthetic of the truck. Transformation is really cool on this one, with his torso flipping down to form a gigantic uniboob that rivals Shockwave's. Long Haul looks really good in robot mode, and I think it may be my favorite, look-wise. He has arm and leg articulation and even has some wrist articulation. Unfortunately, his head sculpt is almost as boring as Bonecrusher's. Mixmaster is by far the least dynamic of the group. He turns into a cement mixer truck. While the alt mode is done really well, with it being able to roll great and the barrel even be able to spin, the robot mode really suffers on this figure. The transformation is very minimal, with the mono foot flipping and the arms just pulling out. Yeah, there have been better versions of Mixmaster, but it's not hard to beat a bot with one leg and two planks for arms. There is a saving grace though. The head sculpt is probably the best out of the group, and the top part over the head can hold this forky thingy. Finally, we come to the leader of the Constructicons, Scrapper. His alt mode is a shovel bulldozer, and this one is kind of an odd one. The shape of the alt mode is there and recognizable as a bulldozer, but there's no real details to hammer it home aside from the wheels and bucket. That being said, Scrapper is probably the most iconic member of the Constructicons, and that definitely carries over to his robot mode. Scrapper's transformation is another extremely simple one. Legs flip out and head pops out the top. His arms do nothing but move up and don't really hide at all in alt mode. The robot mode is, as basic as it is, one of my favorites. I especially like the engineering here with the pieces that stay in place when in vehicle mode and retract when in robot mode, allowing for more articulation for the bucket. Speaking of articulation, legs and arms move. That's it. With all the Constructicons present and accounted for, it's now time to merge them to form Devastator. It's easier to get there with all the components in their alt modes. Scrapper is easy enough, simply put his arms up and he's done. Mixmaster, you pull out the front cab and fold it up to form a foot. You know, with as much anger that some fans have towards the current state of combiners, I'd like to show that they are technically following in Devi's footsteps. The two legs are held in place by this bracket thing. With as simple as this design is, it holds in place really well. Next up is long haul. Bend this piece until it snaps in place, and then slip it into the bracket holding the legs. Another solid combination. Take hook and fold him over. Take the headpiece and place hook inside. The piece can now fit on top of long haul via these two ports. In order to get Scrapper ready, simply fold out this middle connector piece and connect it here. Bonecrusher doesn't do anything but jump on Devi's other shoulder. Now to put on the finishing touches. Front cod piece goes here, chest piece, left arm, and finally right arm. G1 Devastator was at one point the ultimate Transformers toy, and even after 40 plus years, I am still so impressed with this set. I never had this growing up, but even though I have been spoiled by modern engineering, I still feel like this design and these toys in particular still hold up. I'm even more impressed that Devastator has actual articulation. Head can move up and down, arms move 360, there are even elbow and wrist articulation. Devi's right arm can move up and down, and his left arm even has something of a butterfly joint. Sure, this thing is massively out of scale, especially compared to other G1 figures. Sure, this thing cannot hold a candle to modern engineering and design, but out of all the other re-releases that were out at the time, namely Starscream and Hot Rod, I think this one was a set that was most important and needed. I'm so glad I was able to pick this set up in its entirety, and it will always hold a special place in my G1 collection. All in all, while there have been many different incarnations of Devastator, it all started with this. There has been no other combiner as iconic as this, and even though styles have changed, we will always return to this original. Bottom line, whether you pick these up as individuals or as a set, these bots represent the best in what G1 had to offer and are as important to the line as Prime and Megatron. And hey, they're still really fun toys, even by today's standards. Well, that was my look at Transformers G1 Constructicons. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see y'all soon.
Laters!
Check out my Patreon for early access to my videos and shoutouts on future videos. Join up and let's talk toys.